Welcome back, everyone. Over to you, Garrett.
Hi, Rory. Thanks. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Integrating a MAM and Enterprise CMS at Mayo Clinic. As a reminder, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to use the Q&A panel. Be happy to address those at the end. With that said, I'm Garrett Sayer with Orange Logic, the modern DAM, MAM, and CMS system for healthcare organizations that face the challenge of maintaining HIPAA compliance. We're delighted to have you join us in this morning's session, focused in on integrating your DAM or MAM system with an enterprise CMS solution. This is such an important part of having a fluid asset distribution at an enterprise level, especially if you have a wide array of asset types from varying business units and need to maintain and manage multiple delivery channels. One of the customers we do work with here at Orange Logic is the Mayo Clinic. And joining us is Stephen Sponsel, the Director of Media Support Services at the Mayo Clinic, to share their story about how they tackled the need to integrate a media asset management system with an enterprise content management system. Stephen, over to you.
Thanks, Garrett. It's great to be here this morning. So we rebuilt an old DAM program from scratch over the last couple of years to address Mayo Clinic's new digital strategy. We started with what was essentially a departmental resource that had been in place for over a decade, and basically retired that entirely and rebuilt from scratch to create an enterprise resource available for a lot of the purposes that Garrett just talked about. What I'd like to do is share the current state of our program and the next major development project and the three major challenges we see that need to be overcome to really address Mayo Clinic's needs. So it's Health Industry Day. I would imagine most attendees are familiar with Mayo Clinic. I'm including this slide really to show the scale of the media needs. So what we're supporting is three major locations: Rochester, Phoenix, and Jacksonville. There are 22 sites in a regional health system in the Midwest, more or less attached to Rochester. We're looking at the number of people we're interacting with. We have 70,000 employees that comprise a pretty large internal consumption audience. We also have millions of annual patient visits and millions of unique visitors to mayoclinic.org every month. So the increase in the internet traffic and other digital properties is the most important driver for our project. What we've found that's very gratifying, actually, having been in the visual industry for my whole career, is that every digital endpoint is driven by compelling visuals. Everybody who's creating an app or a website wants to have access to a rich set of multimedia. Our group supports these activities through two different divisions. We have one division that is focused on content creation and production, and another group, my group, is focused on the distribution of media content, digitally and otherwise. So looking at my program specifically, digital media distribution comprises 4 service lines. The key among them is the MAM, the Media Asset Management System. This is positioned to be our central repository for all of Mayo's media content to service all of our digital channels, including digital printing. I would want to point out that we also have a gigantic collection of diagnostic media assets in a clinical system. So we have, at this point, nothing to do with that system. There's no crossover. So we're looking purely at administrative content. We also have, associated with the MAM, a streaming video platform that is providing streaming services to virtually all of our internal and external systems that use video. That includes internet sites, our intranet, a set of mobile applications, and more recently and importantly, our patient portal and EHR. In the future, we really want to build out our ability to automate the population of media through all of these Mayo delivery channels, not just the 3 output channels that are on our screen here. Other things in my own domain include Mayo Clinic TV, where we're providing video services to inpatients and selected outpatient areas. So we're supporting 5,000 beds in that system. And we have a digital signage system that supports content for employees and patients on-prem. A little bit more detail on where we are with the media asset management system. We have achieved the single source of truth for multimedia assets, which was really critical in that in the previous model, since we had a departmental system, a lot of other departments stood up their own. So there were several media asset libraries around the organization, some of which were built specifically to support a specific output channel. As a result, everyone had difficulty finding media assets. I know I saw that, but I have no clue where I would go find that. So that was the key. Findability was probably the word that came up the most when we did this project. We also have a lot of disjointed creation and production processes. They're all either manual or semi-manual. So we're aiming at that. So this attacking search was a big deal. Working through the aspects of a collaborative production system is also a big deal for us. Where we are today is we're supporting 1.7 million images and 3,100 videos. Looking at the streaming services, the core services we offer is streaming to both internal and external audiences. We also have a video exchange service for the intranet. That's essentially an internal YouTube-like service. We have, over the last couple of years, centralized all of the video streaming down from about 6 different services that were supporting streaming video. So we've simplified our overall technical architecture, and we've substantially reduced costs within a given year. What has happened, partly because we have picked up all of the distribution for the external properties, and because we've been supporting a vast number of our employees in remote workforce settings, we've just seen these enormous increases. So you'll see the bandwidth increases over the last couple of years have been geometric growth, and we don't see that slowing down anytime soon. So looking at where we are overall, we have the MAM and video streaming systems really integrated. We've fully implemented, again, as a single source of truth. We're providing content to multiple endpoints. I've just shown 5 endpoints here, including internet, mobile apps, our own EHR, our inpatient TV, and our digital printing. There are others as well, but those are representative of the types of media that we handle. We also integrated outside stock photography, which was a real boon for all of our authors and designers. As I said, the remaining problem is that the placement of these media assets for all these channels is still mostly manual, and that introduces the version control and currency issues that I think all of us struggle with in the industry. It's also very resource intensive, and it makes it extraordinarily difficult to reuse visual assets. So our desired state, we would like to get to where we have an omni-channel content management system pushing content for all of our digital outputs. That is an institutional project of what we call the mega project scale. Our group is supporting just the media aspect of that. So we are aligning ourselves, our existing service line, with a mega institutional project. The way that's going to split out is that the CMS will be where all the content is authored. It will have the personalization engine, and it will orchestrate the dynamic delivery of all content, narrative and visual, to all of these various endpoints. So our role in this as a MAM and streaming function will be to provide the comprehensive media library and to provide access to the authors to both place assets and preview assets and then deliver the media to the endpoints at the point of an end user actually viewing a page or a mobile app. So our first challenge is positioning the MAM as the media system of record and the archive, and optimizing our streaming engine for efficient delivery of current content. So we need to present a coordinated resource to all of our authors. What it is taking to get us to that point is migrating content from a half a dozen different large repositories into the central MAM. We are also working out video work in progress workflow processes that will be handled entirely inside of MAM. And we need to synchronize the assets and the metadata bidirectionally between the MAM and video streaming. The normal process is we produce a video through MAM and we push it to the streaming engine. But we are also, as we are doing today, we also are supporting live streams, and those live streams need to be captured through the video streaming functionality and pushed back into the MAM system. We are almost complete with this work, and we are working with an implementation partner to really fine-tune the workflow processes and the configurations for both the streaming platform and the MAM platform. The second major challenge is to implement a connector between the MAM and streaming system and the content management system. So the key challenge here for us is to avoid a situation where we end up replicating media assets inside of the CMS again. That I mentioned earlier, the version control problems, the currency problems, accuracy problems. And that accuracy and currency issue is particularly important in a clinical environment. We have a lot of patient education, a lot of patient procedure prep information that really needs to be consistent in every instance that is presented to patients. So the integrations and enhancements that we need to deliver on, we need to have a function for authors to place the low res media files into the CMS for preview functions. We'd like for those placements to link back to the high-res media files in our MAM. And we need to work through whether we're going to allow authors to modify graphics inside of the CMS or not. If we do, we have to figure out how to get those changes written back to the media asset management system. Connectors between DAMs and CMSs are available commercially. Unfortunately, our pairing, both the media asset management system and our CMS, doesn't have an existing solution, and we're working with a vendor to adapt an existing product to support both systems. Our third challenge is to deliver the high resolution media files in real time. Again, we don't want to replicate inside of the CMS, so we will have a challenge to figure out how to orchestrate the delivery narrative content through the CMS, augmented by the media content flowing directly out of our MAM or out of our streaming engine. So looking at what we need to do for integrations and enhancements here, we need to figure out how do we really dynamically deliver the still assets, photos, illustrations, etc., when the patient is viewed. We've already largely achieved the dynamic delivery of streaming video simply because the files are so large that people don't tend to want to embed them. So we do have that model to look at. Virtually all the support that we're doing for that today is that a URL lives in the digital output, and that always points back to our streaming engine, and that's been working quite well. We're also not satisfied with the way multimedia content is provided to the EHR. There's a lot of reformatting and duplication, replication of content to service the EHR. So we want to work with our EHR vendor to have direct delivery from our system into theirs. And then lastly, we'll need to work through the issues of working with a content delivery network to optimize the delivery of these assets. Again, we've had a lot of early experience that has worked quite well for supporting streaming video. So those are our three major challenges. We've got a lot to do, and there are some major success factors that I wanted to address here. The first is looking at the importance of internal collaboration. I mentioned earlier that we have aligned with a mega project at the institutional scale. So we are engaged with those stakeholders. I'm involved at least twice a week, 2 meetings a week, to make sure that we are in alignment at the administrative level. We also have in this CMS project a total of 7 related workstream work groups. Multimedia is one of the 7. And that at that level, those teams are working with each other, multiple touch points per week, with clear understanding of where we're going. We're using agile methodology, and we're sharing one dashboard, one whole, the way we're using Microsoft DevOps model, but we are sharing that for all the work streams together. And then in our, closer to home, we have had the luxury of rebuilding our program from scratch. So we just have a fantastic, energetic and dedicated team supporting both MAM and streaming. Governance has been huge. The ability to know that all of these various work streams and all of the stakeholders are understanding the vision of the project and the definition down to the glossary level. What does this term mean? We have a governance model that can clarify that. We have a decision-making process that's predictable and is consistent. I mean, if we make a decision this month, we know that that's not going to be changed next month. We also share a metadata model across all of our domains for conceptual metadata, narrative metadata, and the multimedia metadata model. They each have their own tweaks, but the core of the metadata is shared across all environments. And lastly, the importance of having the right external partners. So as Garrett mentioned, we've got a strong MAM platform vendor, and we are working with that vendor all day, every day. We've also introduced 2 additional implementation partners, one who's helping us focus on workflow processes and the configuration of the MAM, and then another that's really focused on helping us define and stand up creations from a library management perspective. Garrett, with that, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I think that the second challenge that you mentioned around connecting your MAM and streaming solution now to the CMS, one thing that might be useful for everybody is early on you mentioned the term findability, and that was a common theme that popped up especially when you're looking at just the broader landscape of having things centralized. So I guess the question that might be useful to hear from everybody is, when you're envisioning this connector between the MAM and your CMS, what does that look like? I know you mentioned a couple of challenges of, do we allow modification, but
right.
What does it look like, and what does that term findability, how does that play into what that connector does look like?
Right. So the findability piece of it, we need to ensure that that connector allows access to whatever collections that individual author already has access to. So we have to flow through, the security model has to flow through. So that's a big part of that. The metadata model we didn't anticipate is exposed through that connector exactly the same way it would be through our website, through our intranet site. The key question on how does it interact with the authoring tool, we don't know yet. And we have some preconceived notions based on really nicely done connectors for Creative Suite. And our expectation is that in the authoring tool, the connector would behave almost identically to the way it does in Creative Suite. So if we can achieve that, I mean, we've had beautiful results with that. If we can achieve it in the authoring tool, this XML authoring tool, we will be very successful.
Yeah, and generally it's a similar use case. So it does make sense. I think we're at time here. So
Mhm.
Stephen, appreciate it. And just to kind
Great
of
to be here.
part
I hope
ways,
is helpful for people.
yeah, just to part ways, please join the next session. Jared Gingras is going to sit down with some of our friends, Dave Finley and Lori Kim over at Headspace. But Stephen, I think this is a very valuable session for everybody and truly do appreciate it.